March 2022, and as you know, every Thursday we have Sokoni coming your way, where we try and see and have an incisive look on what is really happening in the market, especially the Kenyan economy right now. Today we're going to primarily anchor our topic on the sugar reforms in the country, especially Mumias sugar. Are we seeing the vanishing signs of Mumias sugar right now? As we know, there is an issue with the leasing, and the court has made its pronouncement on that as well. We shall be discussing that and a raft of other issues as well, looking at Kenya Power, which is trying to diversify, going into the internet sector as well. How will that be for Kenya Power in this also a very competitive arena when we come to the digital space as well? Right, we have also Kenyans right now who will be, of course, driven on electric buses, and this will be happening on a pilot phase here in Nairobi in the coming months. We shall give you details of this as well. And also, we know we are inundated with the public debt. As far as we know, the country is burdened and saddled with the debt that is always rising. And right now, we know the Ministry of that is the Treasury is seeking public opinion as well on the coming up budget that will be tabled by the CS of Treasury, Ukuri Atani. That will be in April next month. So the public being given a sporting chance to give their views as well. But still, even as we clamor for a ceiling on the borrowing and the debt, still Treasury wants to, of course, break that ceiling and have more debt in times of crisis like we are when it comes to finances issues. So we shall be discussing this and a raft of other issues. We have our guests already in studio with us. We have Rosalinda Simiyu. She is the former director of Nzoia Sugar, also the former national chair of Kenya Union of Sugar farmers here in the country. She'll tell us more about that. We have also with us in studio Professor Exen Iraki, who is a professor at the University of Nairobi School of Business. Also we'll be joined by engineer Fred Nabangi, who is a management consultant, and much later we'll be joined by Honorable Bilo Kero, who is the former senator for Mandera, also the former senator of Finance Committee. Not the former senator, but the former senator chair of the Finance Committee in the Senate. So he will be here momentarily. Of course, he's gone for prayers. So at 6:30, we shall be having him here in studio as well. So also, you know what to do. You can head over to our Twitter handle, which is KTN News KE, where you can peg your thoughts using also the hashtag Morning Prime. Good. Let's put this horse into full run by looking at what we have fresh off the press this morning. But I'll be remiss if I don't just hear from our panelists. At least they're here early in the morning to just hear their voices and to tell us how they have been. I'll begin with Rosalinda Simiyu. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You look fantastic. You're brightening our studio this morning. Right?
Thank you.
Aside from the gloomy, hard faces that we always have with the men here, at least today.
I brought some brightness.
You bring some brightness and charm in the morning. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from you, especially on the sugar sector. You've been there for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So you're a good dab hand as far as giving us experience of the sugar sector is concerned. Looking at the reforms, looking at also the Senate committee that came up with the task force report to see has that been implemented, how is it really panning out right now, and what is really ailing even Mumias Sugar with the leases right now.
Yes.
And Professor, good to see you as always. It's always a treat to have you also here on Sokoni.
Long time.
Long time. Is it long time? I think it's just about a week.
A week is a long time, particularly in politics.
Particularly in politics?
Yes.
Not even a day?
I'm happy to meet my co-panelist. I've never met her, but I buy sugar every day.
You buy sugar every day?
It's an issue that is persistent, an issue that is very close to my heart. I also notice that any time we are going to the polls, sugar becomes an issue.
Sugar becomes an issue?
If not sugar, maize. So there's nothing unusual about what we are seeing now. But she will tell us more as an insider.
As an insider, yes.
I'll probably give my observations from a very objective point of view as an outsider.
Awesome.
Apart from that, I'm waiting for the rains.
I know the last time you were here, you're still waiting for the rains. Eh?
That's why I'm getting concerned. That's why I'm getting concerned, because when I go to the supermarket to buy grease and so on,
yes,
I'm noticing that the prices are going up because of shortage. So once the rains fall, I expect better prices. And now, in particular, now that I expect the price of oil to go up because of Ukraine
war.
So if the price of oil goes up, the price of good goes up, the price of food goes up, the price of oil goes up, we have a reason to be concerned. And the price of sugar.
Yes, we have a reason indeed to be concerned.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's me, but lately the heat here in Nairobi, especially at night,
that's why I'm talking about. That's why I want the rains.
That's why I want. Yeah, this is the impact of global warming.
That degree centigrade in Nairobi is an issue.
It's an issue because this is March, actually.
Even in Western.
Even in Western.
Yeah, the nights are very hot. But we know it's when there's onset of rain.
Okay.
Usually there's that heat, yes, then the rains come.
So that's a good sign.
Yes.
It's a good sign.
Yes.
All right, right. So, yeah, the atmosphere is building up. Soon the clouds will be bursting with rain as well. We do hope so that our farmers can continue also, of course, benefiting from the rains at the end of the day. Right, as I mentioned, we have the papers for you. Let's see what is fresh off the press this morning. We begin with the bold paper, which is The Standard. And this is what is headlining The Standard this morning. The headliners, this is what we have as a splash today. With only 30 days remaining to deposit coalition deals with parties registrar, some political operatives are either aiding or impeding alliance building and caught in the middle of his rivals, Ruto and Raila, who are busy wooing new allies and sealing pacts. This story continues on page 6 of The Standard this morning. And you can see the faces of the headliners here. Time is of great essence here. And I have picked my jersey already. And I am moving on to the next stage. This is a bite there from Moses Kuria, Platondo South MP. Also, we have a bite from one of the headliners within the UDA party, that is the UDA party chairman, former Senator Johnson Mudama is saying, quote unquote, it all depends on who you are and from which angle you are viewing me. It is true, some believe that I am a hardliner, others not. All right, we have also ODM election director there, also the Suba East Member of Parliament, Junet Mohammed, saying, quote unquote, whatever I do so for the greater good of my party leader and my party. I am also aware that I'm a target of all manner of attacks. We have Cleophas Malala, Kakamega Senator, saying, quote unquote, let's not lie to one another. Junet once said he was a warrior of ODM and will not think twice on Raila's directives. Me too, I am Musalia's Junet. And that is what he's saying. He's a Musalia's Junet. We have also Enoch Wambua, Kitui Senator, who is saying, quote unquote, I'm not a hardliner. No. What I state is purely the standpoint of my party leader, and I therefore only amplify his sentiments. I can never hurt him politically by contradicting his position. That is there from the headliners, Mini Kingmaker. That is Mini Kingmakers there, a probing question on the front page of The Standard. Also the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Ruto's tour abroad. For Ruto, his 10-day trip to the US and UK has been great success, but to others, it has exposed his underbelly and slowed down Kenya Kwanza campaigns. You can follow his story on page 7 of The Standard this morning. Remember also today is Thursday. We have shipping and logistics pulled magazine inside The Standard today. SGR's growth strength fails to wipe out trucks from roads. You can follow details inside the shipping and logistics. Also, we have real estate. Question is Kilimani turning into the new Eastlands? Is Kilimani turning into the new Eastlands? That is a probing question. You can follow all the details inside there. Breaking away all the building codes right now. Many of the apartments are coming up in Kilimani. You can read all the details inside the real estate in The Standard today. Heavy task for man to oversee Uhuru transition. This is Martin Marjan Hussein Marjan, the new IBC Chief Executive Officer, walks tightrope in steering the Commission to hold a free and fair election in August and overcome planning hurdles and court cases. He's now been confirmed as a CEO. He was in an acting capacity, and right now that has been settled. Let's look at the T's on top here. Relief as experts say COVID-19 no longer a threat, but you must stay alert. That is a story that you can follow on page 3 of the Standard this morning. Also, Thibe Dam is ready for commissioning. We're expecting the rains also to fill it up. This is a story that you can follow on page 25. This is a good relief for farmers. That is the rise of farmers, especially Mwea, Tebera their irrigation schemes as well. Parties clash over Mumias. That is on 26. Also, this snaply figs fit in with our discussion here today when we are looking at the vanishing signs of Mumias sugar. We know that particular court case that has been toing and froing in the High Court regarding the leasing and also the resumption of operation with the Sarai Group. That is, we will hack back and see where is the problem with the Mumias sugar. Is it a political will? That is it now also there is a debate of whether it is a private farm or a public farm, right? And whether a private farm should actually be taken to court in regard to, even tender issues at the end of the day. We shall be looking at that as well. Opportunity knocks for Osaka. That is in sports. That is in, of course, tennis as well. That is the Standard for you today. Make sure you grab a copy. Let me try and bring up the Daily Nation for you to see what is headlining the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. And also I've seen engineer Fred Nabangi, who has just walked in as well. He will give us more details, and I'll just also introduce him to you so that he can give you introductory remarks so for you to know him as well. He's also very pivotal in the history of Mumias sugar as well. The Daily Nation is holding this flash for you this morning. If you're waking up just to see the dailies, the headlines, and you step out of the house quickly, it's mounting up very slowly, but here it is, the beast of the road. Now the face has been revealed of this man who did this inhumane act, I should say, to the lady who was assaulted at Professor Wangari Maathai Road. The beast of Forest Road is a splash today. And we have there on top as a flagger reading, manhunt. Police say suspect escaped via a sewer duct in Mukuru Kayaba. On the run, Zachary Nyaoga Obadiah, the border operator who has been identified by police as the mastermind of a gang that sexually harassed a Zimbabwean diplomat, leading to a nationwide crackdown on the sector, was on the run last evening as detectives intensified his manhunt, deploying teams across the city and to his rural home in Kisii. His father of two, I should say, also ran a small smokies and boiled eggs business at Hazina in the city, from where he plied his trade. Police say it's just a matter of time before they smoke him out. Well, here is his face. Not very clear indeed, but at least you can see the configuration of a face there. If you see this man near you, kindly report to the police. This is the person who snowballed all the riot that we saw and assaulting of that diplomat here in Nairobi. The story is well fleshed for you on page 12 and 13 of the Daily Nation. Mnangagwa comes calling. It's all about matters diplomacy. You can see the picture there, President Kenyatta and his Zimbabwean counterpart, Emerson Mnangagwa, after the signing of memoranda of understanding between Kenya and Zimbabwe at State House in Nairobi yesterday. It was not clear last evening whether Friday's assault of the Zimbabwean female diplomat by Boda was discussed during the meeting. You can follow the story inside the Daily Nation as well. Also, still on the front page of the Daily Nation, we have it's a make or break talks for Kalonzo. As Kanu threatens to bolt out of Oka There are reports of secret talks by teams trying to broker a deal between Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and ODM chief Raila Odinga ahead of a meeting this Saturday, in which the former PM is expected to be named the Azimio la Umoja flag bearer. Will the talks bear fruit? That is a probing question. The story on page 4. Also, Oka fallout, a question there, KANU led by its chairman Gideon Moi yesterday threatened to sever links with One Kenya Alliance and join Azimio la Umoja. Should Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka fail to heed calls to join the outfit? That story on page 4 of the Daily Nation today. Also, let's just see on top here, KCP results to be out in 2 weeks as Magoha. This is what Magoha is saying. Marking begins on Monday with marking began on Monday, I should say, with only 3 cheating cases reported in tests. That is the Daily Nation for you. Good, let's just move on quickly and see also what we have on the front page of the People Daily. And this is what you're waking up to on the front page of the People Daily this morning. All eyes on Kalonzo. He's still biding his time and sending jitters everywhere. All eyes on Kalonzo as Azimio time runs out. That is a catch-22 there for Kalonzo Musyoka. He says Wiper leader walks a tightrope as he decides between going it alone in August 9th poll, joining Raila or Ruto's Kenya Kwanza team. This story is well fleshed out on page 4. And in brief, 1. Frustration. Sources say Uhuru and Raila are frustrated with Kalonzo. 2. There are talks. Politicians' allies say talks are going on with several parties. And also on relations, former VP has 2 days to decide his Azimio relationship. Today, tomorrow. Friday is a D-Day, so we'll know where is the true north for Kalonzo Musyoka's direction, whether he's joining Kenya Kwanza or Azimio as well. Also on the side, but their KCP exams results out in 14 days is a story that you know by now. And bar owners cry foul over police bribes is a story you want to also follow inside the People Daily. Also on top, we have high-tech lab helped identify key suspects. That is a forensic lab. This is identifying Zachariah Nyaora Obadiah. Detectives say they were able to place Zachariah Obadiah at the scene of crime as well as trace him to his Mukuru Kayaba slums in Nairobi. And of course, you can see also the motorbikes that were some of the culprits that actually police arrested them. This is at a police station. Lots of motorbikes you can see there. That is the People Daily for you. Let me try and also show you what we have on the front page of the Star, Taifa Leo and the Business Daily. And this is how it looks this morning. Well, I'll go for the Business Daily as I try and retrieve the Star for you quickly. But the Star is actually here. And this is what we have on the front page of the Star. Well, it's eluding me, but let me just show you what the Business Daily as I try and retrieve the Star quickly. And this is what is on the front page of the Business Daily this morning. Keroshe rules out sale in 22.7 billion shillings clash with KRA. Keroshe rules out sale in 22.7 billion shillings clash with KRA. And this is a tax round that has been ongoing, you know it by now. Tabitha Karanja, the CEO, says selling the brewer will not be the best option. Asks taxman to allow operations to resume. And you can follow the story on page 4 of the Business Daily. Also the breakdown there of tax demands from Keroshe, from KRA, are all tabulated there for you to read. And this is the face, the chapfallen face there of Keroshe Brewery's Chief Executive Officer, Tabitha Karanja, addressing the media yesterday regarding the tax row with Kenya Revenue Authority. She asked the taxman, as I've mentioned there, to reopen the plant to stem huge losses. And also, one tribe accounts for 47% of KU Hospital's jobs. Nearly half of the employees of the Kenya University Teaching Referral and Research Hospital are from one ethnic community in breach of a legal requirement for diversity in sharing of jobs in public service institution. Right, that is a story that you want to follow on page 4 of the Business Daily as well. Export fuel fast increase raises fears of dumping. That is another story. The Kenya Revenue Authority has flagged a suspicious spike in shipment of fuel meant for export amid fears that marketers are dumping the cargo in the local market to evade taxes. Follow the story there inside the Business Daily this morning. That is the Business Daily for you. Make sure you grab a copy there. Also on the ticker, credit to traders increased 136%. And you can follow the story on page 6 of the Business Daily this morning. Let's move on swiftly and we'll see what we have in other dailies. Briefly, we can also take a look at what is on the front page of the New Times, just crossing over to Rwanda to see how Rwandans are faring on as well. Then I'll also show you what we have on the front page of Taifa Leo. And this is what we have. The New Times is holding this splash. Government pledges more investment in biogas. Biogas is one of the alternative sources of clean cooking energy. And you have that story continuing on page 8 of the New Times in Rwanda. Also, could traditional pottery be coming to an end? That is the question. And you can see some of the pottery products at Kigali Modern Pottery Cooperative located in Kayishuru, or Kasiuru, I should say, sector in Gasabu district on March the 9th. Potters in Rwanda are now switching from traditional ceramics to molding flower vases and other decorations. You can follow the story on page 3. Also, the region and reason of Women's History Month, right? The whole of this month is, of course, Women's Month, having begun on Monday, on Tuesday the 8th, and it's running all the way until the end of the month. So you can read all the history of how this month began and how the International Women's Day began on page 2 of the New Times. Good. Let's just move on and to see also what we have on other dailies as well. I'll try and whip up also what we do have on the front page of The Economist, and a very interesting cover of The Economist you should see. It's a bit slow, but it should be coming up shortly. It's just the flag of Ukraine. No caption at all. And this is how The Economist is looking, the latest copy of The Economist. And this is the blood or the flag of Ukraine bleeding. There you go, The Economist. And of course we know how also this is adversely affecting the world right now when it comes to fuel prices. The markets are also getting spooked by that as well. Also here there is an investor flight because of that as well. That is Ukraine bleeding. You can grab a copy of The Economist for yourself. All right, let's see what we have on the front page of the Newsweek as well. Then we wind up with the paper review. We look at the editorial cartoons. What will we do without our daily tonic of cartoonist? And this is what we have on the front page of the latest copy of the Newsweek as well. And there is a hyper focusing right now on Ukraine worldwide, what is really happening. That is where the center of the focus of the world is. And this is what is on the front page of the Newsweek. And you can see there the face of Putin. Invading Ukraine is just the beginning. What is the Russian leader's ultimate goal? And that is the abiding question. Putin's endgame. And you can see the fierce eyes right now of Putin. That is the Newsweek for you. Also on top there, how to beat the anxiety epidemic. You can read all the details also inside the Newsweek as well. There is a national review on all these magazines also. They're focusing on what is happening in Russia and what is happening in Ukraine right now. And this is what is on the front page of the National Review. It's looking like this. Putin's bloodbath is what we have there. And it's a story there by David Price Jones, also Elliot Abrams, and the editors as well. And this is the chaos. You can see there a graphic picture there. I didn't warn you of also a soldier who has been fallen there. and that is a tanker there that has been blown up. Not really a tanker, or well, they call it the Abrahams, I can't remember. That is a national review for you. You can grab a copy as well. Good, let's now buckle down to the cartoons of the day. And this is where also I'll rope in our panelists to just also to chime in a bit here and there. We begin with what we have in the Standard today. And this is what Gado has drawn for us in the Standard. Editorial page there, page 16 of the Standard. And we know of Ruto's tour. And this is, has been in the UK and also the US as well. And he's meeting the clergy there. I suppose that should be the Archbishop of Canterbury. They're shaking hands there. But see, he's actually pinching his nose there. And there are flies around Arab Singh, as he's personified by Gado there. And he's thinking at the end of the day. Well, I want just to hear from our panelists what also they're deciphering that from that cartoon. Let's just begin with Professor X and Iraqi, looking at that. Iraqi?
This is an interesting cartoon for two reasons. If you look at what the DP, assuming it is him, if you look at the turban he is wearing, it does not look very religious. It does not look very Christian. But if you look at the Archbishop, his looks very bishoporic. It looks like one of a bishop. And it's interesting to find out why there are those fries around. Fries always come around when there's something that is not right, when something is rotting or stinking. And I don't know whether the Archbishop is reacting to the fries or to the person shaking his hands. So to put the DP in the turban of somebody from the northern part of India, speaking to somebody who has the bishop's hat, is actually very comical. And I'm just wondering what we are supposed to get out of all this. Are we supposed to sympathize with the fries, swat them away, look for doom to spray them and clean him? Or what are we supposed to do with it? So I think this cartoon, whoever came up with it, has left our heads spinning. And in my opinion, it's not in very good faith.
Okay, it's not in very good taste.
Particularly when it is...
maybe diplomatically what has been happening right now with him, you know, washing the dirty linens, as, you know, some other pundits will say on abroad as well. That could be the thing. Now, you know, the stink, you're letting it all hang out, you know, abroad. Yeah,
that's my concern, that he's taking his stinking abroad.
Okay,
and is that really fair to take our stinkiness abroad, or we should keep them at home? I think that's my concern.
Okay. All right, let's hear from Rosalinda. And is it...
I'm looking at it, he's a man of God.
He's a man of God.
This Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yes.
And one thing, as a man of God, even if you're dealing with a stinky person, the least you can do is indicate to them that they are stinking. And not only that, look at his eyes. Look at the eyes, you know. They're kind of malicious. They're not in good faith, as he's holding his nose. So to me, my take is, one, the Archbishop should not have done what he has done as a man of God, because you are not supposed to judge, lest you be judged. And this cartoon is all about somebody trying to judge somebody else.
All right, that is what
yes,
Rosalinda is trying to decipher there.
Yes, and you know, cartoon is all your take on how, but for me, I don't think this guy, the religious guy, needs to judge anybody, because the Bible says, do not judge, lest you be judged. So, you know, he's already determined that he's stinking.
Right.
As he's greeting him, you know, that is hypocrisy also from the Archbishop of the church.
Aren't we still human? Even if somebody is thinking...
No, but it gets...
You as a human being, of course, you have that pious...
Yes.
And the halo around you...
Depends with what you stand for. When you go as a man of God, you need to carry that with you, because you're supposed to be the most impartial person when you're dealing with an issue, not siding whether somebody has limits in whatever they said or not.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Okay, allow me to introduce to you as well Engineer Fred Nabangi, who is joining us, is a managing consultant. Engineer, good morning and thank you for joining us. Right, and of course you have the cartoon with you. I think that will be the introductory remark that we'll give you as well. Then we see your face. What are you deciphering from this, Engineer?
First of all, good morning to Kenyans and my fellow panelists. Of course, that's Gado's interpretation or thinking about what he perceived that went on between the DP when he was visiting the Archbishop of Canterbury. My take is that, yes, the symbolism of the flies, the way that the bishop seems to be looking at the DP, and of course the holding of the nose, has a lot of things to tell. Not necessarily nice things, from whichever perspective one sits, as to how, how that should be taken by other people, I think is personal. But looking at the Archbishop's posture towards the DP, it is a negative presentation of the persona of our DP. Whatever went on in their meeting, we don't know. Gado has picked it up the way he has, so we have to leave it as his interpretation. We have our own.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Engineer. All right, that is what you decipher. Let's hear from Honorable Bill Okero. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, Mheshimiwa. It's been a while.
Yes, well, thank you very much for having me on the show. Good morning to
good morning.
All of you. I think this cartoon, in my view, is in bad taste. The DP is part of the presidency, and the presidency is a symbol of this nation. However, we disagree. I think to give this kind of a picture, or it's not a very positive thing. But on the light side, I see both of them are smiling in the picture, which means each party thinks they've taken advantage of the other. But I think it's not. If it is about graft, double. It's not only institutionalized, but it is in the fabric of the society in the country. So I think to try and play it out there and give this kind of perception in our international relations, I think it's not a very positive thing. But nonetheless, I think I see them smiling, but unfortunately, it's not a very positive thing.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for joining us as well. We shall be, as I mentioned, looking at the reforms in the sugar sector and a raft of other issues as far as the economic outlook is looking today here on Sokoni. That is in the Standard. Let's see what Victor has drawn for us in the Daily Nation briefly. Then we wind up with a paper review quickly. I'll let you go if you're stepping out of the house as well. But basically, we've gotten what is on the paper reviews this morning. This is what Victor has drawn inside the Daily Nation there on page 14. And it's all about also Sonko's developing story as far as the US is concerned on graft. And you can see him yes, at the airport there, being passed through the scanning machine. That is Sonko. Right, you know the story right now. We don't need to belabor the point. But this is not really happening just to Sonko alone. Also, we have ex-presidents who have been on the list of the U.S. because of corruption, and they have been bad to go to the U.S. as well. But still, on clamping corruption in the country, I think also if they're taking this step, we need to navel gaze here as a country and try and look keenly what is happening also with us as well. Are we fighting it as hard as other, jurisdictions are concerned, especially on corruption? Professor, what do you decipher on this? It is self-explanatory anyway.
It's not self-explanatory.
It is not, okay.
It seems to me that the man is going through a scanning machine, but you're not sure whether he's going to go through or not. So it seems he has been rejected and he has to be to be tested again. But I think the question I would be asking is, the U.S. is banning a lot of people perceived to be corrupt from going to the U.S. Are other countries doing the same? Because it seems that once we ban you from going to the US, you feel some shame. And you feel that I'm not going to go to the US, so you feel that you'll be deflated. Maybe we need to go beyond the US and do it here, so that if we know that Dubai is corrupt, I stop visiting your home. If you come to me in the public sector, I walk away from you. So that we don't just shame people by not going to the US if they are corrupt, but also through our social setup.
Yes, through a social setup as well. Engineer?
At the moment, a very significant part of our social setup. And for this particular graphic, showing one of our former leaders in the county government of Nairobi as being rejected by the US.
Excuse me.
Is the way that we, even ourselves right now, are coming to face the reality, as a cartoonist has put it, that we must find a way. We should, this is my interpretation, we should all find a way to start dealing with this at the personal, group, and even community level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, back to also Rosalinda. Rosalinda, what do you decipher from that particular cartoon?
Graft is it's something that needs to be dealt with. Currently, like in Kenya, it is, let's say it's a cancer.
It's a cancer.
Why I'm saying it's a cancer, even in very simple places, right even from the homestead, you're finding that graft is perpetrated. A parent will try to bribe a child to do something in the name of love, maybe an absent. They're so busy working, they're absent, so they try to make up by providing things for the children. So we are not instilling any discipline, so a child knows there is an easier way of getting money without really working for it. So as we talk about graft, we need, Rosalinda, I need to look at myself also. What is it that I have done that is not right? We are always very fast to point a finger. If it's you, Dibal, I want to say, yes, I'm going to, you're corrupt. But I forget that 3 fingers are pointing at me. And find out all those people who are pointing fingers at people about them being corrupt. If you really dig deeper, you'll find that they are all corrupt. Just like they say, let me see who will throw the first stone. For example, you look at the issue on chapter 6 on integrity. Before somebody gets into leadership, there were some issues that you are supposed to have been sorted out with. Unfortunately, you find that the laws we put in place don't really make us really know that, yes, I need to have integrity as me before I can seek a certain office. Yeah.
Thank you.
So all those things are necessary.
You've been the former chair, of course, of the Senate Finance Committee. You're aware how we've been trying to stanch this flow of corruption in this country, but we're unable to really lance the ball at the end of the day.
I think, Double, the issue about corruption is the lack of political goodwill. The same person who is who was, flagged by the U.S. today, tomorrow may be appointed into an executive position by the executive, by the president and his team. It happens every day. Those who have been convicted, those who have been thrown out of, or implicated in one way or the other. So I think the issue is there is complete lack of goodwill from the top. And as long as that is there, regrettably, we will not be able to achieve much in terms of fighting corruption, because anyone who gets into position of power immediately appoints, surrounds himself with people who are their political supporters. So whether or not you are convicted, whether or not you have been involved in corruption, whether or not you have been cited in other countries for corruption and so forth, it doesn't really matter. It's about, you are my supporter and I have to give you a job. So I think that lack of political goodwill is what has encouraged graft to, what has allowed graft to grow in this country.
Right, thank you very much. All right, this is the graft. Let's wind up. We see what Ozone has drawn in the star briefly, and also Stano as well. And this is what we have inside the star today. And we don't need to belabor the point because we've already had the comment, and this is all about Sonkor as well. And this is Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is saying, look on the bright side, mister. You are on the news again just as you like. And this is Sonko really digging his own grave. And you can see there also on that particular, the gravestone. Sonko's political career going down, you know, in the grave. That is, of course, the last laugh from Uncle Sam. That is a star for you. Ozone has drawn that, and of course, we've heard from our panelists. Let's see what we have in the People Daily. Lastly, as we get done with the paper review, this is what we do have in the People Daily this morning, according to Stano, and this is what he's drawn for us as well. Let's appreciate them. And this is about where we are. High taxes, and especially maybe to just get introductory remarks, we can see what is headlining on the front page of the People of the Business Daily today. It's all about Keroshe and that trial with the KRAs that it's been toying and froing in the media space right now. And this has been aptly also captured by Stano today. Small businesses and high taxes. What stops him from growing? Yeah? Is it, of course, the stern measures that we're getting from KRA? And is KRA also reacting in the wisest of fashion on clamping down businesses which are employing many Kenyans? Many will argue at the end of the day. On the other hand as well, if we have the onus as business owners to pay our taxes, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, why then are we escaping? Why aren't we remitting these taxes when also we are collecting taxes from other small businesses at the end of the day? That chain has to, of course, continue. And this is what has been drawn today here by Stano. I just want to hear from also Professor on this briefly, especially in light of what has been happening to Keroshe. Debate has been there that we have other farms which are exempted, when it comes to submitting their taxes, where mergers are concerned. But when it comes to other farms, KRA is very selective. Briefly.
I think this is a very pertinent issue, not just for Keroche and KRA. Paying taxes has become a very contentious issue because there is a feeling that a lot of people do not pay taxes, and the few who are left paying taxes bear a very big burden. Mm-hmm. And I remember somebody saying that one way to reduce the tax rate is to have more people pay taxes so that the burden is shared. Mm-hmm. But for the Keroche, I think we need to have KRA come to the studio, CEO Tabitha Karaja come to the studio, mm-hmm. and they tell us their story, and we ask them questions. Because I think we don't know who is telling the whole story. Because Keroche have their story, KRA has their story. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the cartoon, I think tax is not the only reason why the smaller business are not growing. There are other reasons. My sister talked about corruption. Mm-hmm. My sister talked about, but I can also talk about the business environment. Do we encourage the small businesses to grow? For example, if I want to buy a commodity or a service, would I go and buy it from a small business instead of importing? Mm-hmm. We import very small things from other countries instead of getting it from local market. So taxes is one of the reasons why they're not growing, but it's not the only reason. There are many others. Mm-hmm. I'm particularly concerned about Keroche because if I'm an investor coming to this country, mm-hmm. and my business is closed because of taxes, I'll be very wary of coming. So I think KRA and Keroche should go behind the doors, behind the tent, as we say. They discuss among themselves what is happening. They come up with an amicable solution, because that is even scaring the small businesses. Because if I'm a small business and when I grow big and become like Keroche, I'll be given a very big tax bill and I end up crossing. Then I don't want to grow. I want to remain small. And you can see the dilemma small businesses have. If you talk to a small group of business people in Kenya today and ask them, what do you fear most? Mm-hmm. I would expect them to tell me maybe frauds or thugs. But you'll be surprised to say KRA. Mm. So the KRA should not just be seen as person collecting money from us. They should also be a facilitator. Mm-hmm. And this is a very bad economic message being sent, that if you grow big, KRA will come and hammer you and you go out of business. Mm-hmm. But that apart, everybody should pay taxes in this country, and fair taxes. Mm-hmm.
Rosalina, do you think maybe because of the posture of KRA, we have, their what do you call it, the logo, which is the lion roaring. So at the end of the day, we have this morbid fear of KRA. Are they also friendly in the way also they reach out to Wananchi to collect their taxes, their taxes, to remit their taxes at the end of the day?
You see, usually there is no tax collector who is liked by anybody, naturally. Even from Jesus' time, nobody liked a tax collector.
Even Jesus had to say, give to Caesar. People don't want to pay taxes.
Yes, But what we are saying now is that times have evolved, and the government, because of its need to have jobs created, and also it has a responsibility to see that it is collecting money, they should find a more amicable and more friendly way. And even these people, investors who come, the government needs to go out there and teach people on certain things that you can do to, there's that you can be exempted from paying some certain tax. If you are an entrepreneur and you involve yourself in certain activities, it can reduce even the amount of tax. Or so what they need is to go out there, educate, give more information. And then the issue like Keroche, I think it was handled in bad taste. Why I'm saying so, apart from the 250 employees who are directly in line, you can count the number of farmers who supply to Keroche. So you find that if you really look at the people who have been affected by the shutting down of Keroche, is a huge number. And more so, we can politicize the issue that maybe they stepped in the moment she declared, she joined the other side of the politics. So everything is looking to be in bad light against the government. So what I'm saying is that, yes, we need to pay tax, but there is a way that the government can create incentives to make people pay tax in a more friendlier and better way, and encourage them. That can be done. We've seen countries that have created incentives that has actually encouraged the people to pay tax in a certain manner. Maybe you are involved in this, you can carry out a certain activity that now when it comes to your tax, it reduces the amount of tax, or you can completely be exempted from paying tax. There are those things that are there which needs to go out to the public, and somebody can maybe venture into some activity that can make them not pay tax. Yes, legally.
Yes. Philanthropy, doing good as well at the end of the day. Let's hear from Engineer Fred Nabangi as well. On that thing, just the whole treatment of taxes in this country with these small businesses briefly. As a comment on the cartoon.
The question that I've been asked is what stops small enterprises from growing? I think that tax is a small contributor to growth of enterprise. The biggest problem, as far as I'm concerned, has to do with the initial reason for the enterprise to start, and then the model that they are using to run the business. Many small enterprises come into being from people who are not necessarily entrepreneurs. So they might simply be refugees from unemployment. That's why some people start 10, 15 different enterprises. None of them grows, and they're almost always plying on the periphery of what you would call the tax bracket. So for us to make this a much clearer issue, there should be very specific taxes, that are levied on people who are starting out and who have been identified as entrepreneurs. And that's what brings the issue of the tax holidays, for example.
Thank you. All right, Bill Okero, lastly on this, then we gravitate to a discussion. I have been a tax advisor, and I'm in business. Let me disabuse Kenyans of one thing. Kenyans are paying taxes. Let nobody cheat Kenyans that Kenyans are not paying taxes. We pay, the tax that we pay in this country is more than the tax, and I want to repeat this, it's more than the tax paid by the entire East African countries combined. All the other 5 countries, we pay more revenue. So the question that Kenyans need to ask is what is happening to the 2 trillion or 2 trillion shillings that we collect as taxes. So it's not about paying of taxes, it's about what are we doing with our taxes. The second thing is we need to have a different tax regime for small businesses. Our tax, Income Tax Act, our tax system is very inefficient, very complicated. So complicated that it is very difficult to really understand what you have to do, what you have to pay. And this is the reason why you find companies have these challenges, and that KRA has to do an audit every now and then. They have to do an
an in-depth audit of companies to try and find out, whether you have paid everything or not, because of the complexity of our taxes, our tax system. But I think for the small businesses, there's no doubt tax is a major disincentive. If you are in business, you will know. You are running a small business, the raw materials, you have to pay duties on it, you have to pay VAT on it, you have to pay taxes for your employees, you have to pay taxes on your income. I mean, by the time you are putting your products in the market, you may not, as a matter of fact, be able to make profit. And this is the reason why, millions of these enterprises, when they start, they collapse in the first or second. Yeah, so there's a fact that taxes do complicate things for small business, and we need to do something about it. But as the president said a couple of years ago, KRA needs to change the way it collects taxes. They should not act as police. I remember the president saying that when a KRA person walks in, people try to get out of the window. I mean, it's really become punitive. And if you look at the charter of KRA, as much as they are a regulator in terms of collection of taxes and so forth, they're also supposed to facilitate business.
Yes.
You cannot kill the goose that lays the golden egg. It must be, you must give an environment that allows business to nurture, allows business to continue. You have to, they don't focus on that facilitative role of business. They focus more on the regulatory aspect. And this is the unfortunate thing about what's happening today, the punitive aspect. That's why people are getting discouraged about, these taxes.
Thank you, thank you. All right, it's time for us to take a short break, and then when we circle back, we continue with the discussion this morning. We're trying to look what is happening at the sugar reform sector, just the sugar reforms that is ongoing in the country, and the vanishing signs of Mumia's Sugar right now. What is ailing Mumia's Sugar? One of the blue chip companies that we had here in the country, and the debate is out there right now. Is it a private farm or is it a public farm at the end of the day? Right, that is a probing question we'll be also teasing out on the other side of a break. Don't go away. You're watching Money Prime. This is Sokoni.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
Rada jaja, uskini mimi tena, nimemwok tu kusema asanti kwa kunidunga zawadi ya life na pia afya njema. Enyewe si ati nini, wendo bazenga.
Shukuru Bwana na your callers with the Sheng prayer quote of the day by dialing *811 *914#. Set the tone with Skiza. We value your feedback and welcome any comments, queries, or complaints regarding our news content.